Hey everyone, welcome back to the Gallop podcast. We have a full crew on our hands today. We got Anthony Molleson, Nick Bandanza, our usual co-host. We also have a special guest who you will see later on in our episode, Michael Hernandez, our wrestling beat reporter for Mustang News Sports. Michael, thanks for coming on and joining us.
Hey man, it's been a pleasure. Been a great time getting to be on the show. It's my first time, so thank you guys for all having me on. It's like the old school versus the new school. We got Nick and Matt across from me, and now we got Ant over here on the right of me. So thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. Later on in the show, Michael will be part of our interview when we talk to the Lamer brothers, Chance and Legend, for the interview segment of this show, just because, Michael's been around that program. He knows what's going on. So we let Michael fill in for that episode along with Anthony. But besides that, looking at other Cal Poly sports, I mean, how do you guys feel about what's going on?
Oh, I'm feeling good. I really wanted to talk about the Hawaii versus Cal Poly women's basketball game that happened over the weekend. Me and Matt anchored for game day, and it was really exciting game. And end result ended up going in Cal Poly's way, but it was just being at that game is one of the most fun I think I've had being at a Cal Poly sports game. It was just a lot of fun going on in that gym, and the thing that really stood out to me in that game was just kind of like the heart that the Cal Poly team played with. They were down 13 at some point in the fourth quarter, and it would have been, with the way the whistles were going, the way the team was playing, it would have been very easy for them to kind of just go back to the bench and kind of just sit that one out. Like it didn't seem like things were going to go their way. Sydney Richards fouled out, Anya McNicholas fouled out, Annika Shaw took an elbow to the nose and was walking off the court with blood gushing from her nose. But despite all that, the team fought till the very end. And with a Sierra Litke made free throw or a Annika Shaw made three at the buzzer, like they would have won the game, it was a shock that they were even in that game, honestly, for me, with how it was going.
Yeah. After we did game day, so I watched the first half. I stepped out for a bit in the third quarter. I checked the score. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're down. I think it was like 52-38 or something like that. And then as I was heading back to the gym, I checked the score again. It was, within 5-7 points. I was like, oh shoot, what's going on? So I watched the ending of that game, really exciting. Unfortunately, they couldn't get the win there. But Hawaii's a really good team. So really that game in terms of seeding, us and Hawaii, we were both tied for second in the conference.
Yeah, along with Irvine.
Yeah, along with Irvine. So now I think Hawaii takes a step up. We're still technically at 2 because now there's like a 2 or 3 way tie for first place. But actually, after
with the forfeit,
a forfeit with all of our girls being sick, which would have played a role in the Hawaii game too, because you don't just become sick over the last 2 days. So that goes into even more of the battle. So I think with the forfeit against Irvine, we'll drop to 4th, maybe 5th, depending on how the other games go tomorrow.
I love how we just brushed over the fact that Annika Shaw just ate an elbow to the nose. Like, that's absolutely crazy. I know during those games, like, to have that happen and to, like how you said, the whistle's not going in your favor, like, that just goes to show the heart of that Cal Poly team to stay in there and keep on going despite having a lot of the odds stacked against them with Richards and Shaw being out. So kudos to the Cal Poly team, and hopefully they can make a run for it this end of the year.
Yeah, I think you were the one who pointed it out when Annika subbed in for that last play in the game where she shot the 3. That was the first possession she actually got back in the game since she got hit in the face like earlier on.
Yeah, the fact that she even came back in the game after that. I mean, I was right by the court and I was watching her standing over a trash can with the trainer like holding her nose as blood was just dripping down. Fans were coming down and like checking in on her. It was crazy. What was even crazier was there was no whistle on the play where she came off the court with her nose bleeding. Wow. That was pretty unreal. I watched it happen right before my face. Jeffrey Armstrong's walking down the side baseline in frustration. It was a crazy game, honestly.
Wouldn't surprise me if she comes out with the LeBron mask the next couple.
That'd be sweet.
She broke her nose. She's gonna have next 3 weeks got the mask on going off.
Oh yeah. Well, with all that being said, I think the biggest story of this game was just the fact that this team is able to compete with the upper echelon teams of the conference. I mean, you look at the game versus UC Santa Barbara, came down to the wire, went to overtime. You look at this game versus Hawaii, same type thing. I think that's just the biggest thing that Coach Dyers and this team should be proud of, and the fact that they're, even despite with the game that didn't go their way, they were still in it to the very end, and it's very exciting for the rest of their season for them.
Yeah, and there's no like pejoratives or anything, but given where this program was 2 years ago, being able to compete and win games in the top echelon of the conference is a huge step up.
Yeah,
huge step up for being kind of been at the bottom for the last 4 years straight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we can move on to our other basketball team here on campus, the men's basketball team.
Yep.
They're not having the best of seasons, of course. 4-17 overall, 0-9 in conference so far. It's been a tough year for them. I mean, injuries. They had 9 newcomers to this team in year 5 of John Smith's tenure, and most recently they fell to Hawaii 83-73. But Kobe Sanders, the guy that's been kind of leading the way this season, finished with 32 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists.
Ooh, yeah. That's a stat line.
He's been balling.
I think this is his either third or fourth 30-point game this year, and that's with like teams knowing the scout, like, oh, this is their guy.
They run everything through him.
Run everything through him. He wants to get us to a spot in the mid range all the time. How are we going to make things difficult for him? And some teams have succeeded in that just because it's so hard to do that on a night-to-night basis. He's dealing with an injury too that I think he just recently got over, and even maybe it's still lingering a little bit. Still, goes over to Hawaii, drops 32 and 10. Unfortunately, the team still falls at the end, and they're still looking for their first conference team or conference win. But I gotta give props to Kobe, because like out of all the guys that were in his recruiting class, when Coach Smith brought them all in, he's the only guy remaining pretty much. Mm-hmm. You look at Brantley Stevenson, Cam Pierce, Ollie Chroma was there a year before, but all those guys at this point are gone. Mm-hmm. They departed and went their own ways, and that's what the transfer portal is for. You see a better opportunity for yourself, you go take it. But Kobe kind of stuck it all the way through with this team, and even though in year 4 now with Kobe being here, they still aren't at the level that they probably want to be. He's stuck it out, and he's a loyal guy.
Mm-hmm. Very loyal, and they've been playing better basketball. The 54-51 loss to Fullerton showed them here on Mott Center, showed that they have a lot more fight. They played a lot better defense, moving the ball a lot more. Kobe had 14 points in that game and 7 assists. Yep. So he was still doing what he needs to do. But I think they are playing better here towards the end of the season. Just might be a little, too late.
Yeah, I was watching back. I think it was like the Fullerton game, and I saw there was a point in the game where Kobe had the ball in the right wing, pick and roll with like Tuca setting the screen. All 3 weak side defenders had 2 feet in the paint. It was just like, that's so tough to deal with, just because the teams are not respecting our shooting, because we just haven't made shots at a high enough level this year. So that's what defenses are going to do. They're going to crowd the paint, force a kick out, make someone else beat them. And despite that, Kobe still dropped 32 and 10 against Hawaii. So yeah, you got to give props to him.
Yeah, you just got to have the rest of the guys kind of culminate and have that same success, because Kobe definitely has been having that year so far for Poly, where when they have needed those big shots, I believe even at the game I was at with you earlier this year, he stepped up. He made the game-winning shot, I believe.
San Jose State?
Yep, San Jose State. Yep. He played a really good game then. Mm-hmm. He's continuously stepped up for Cal Poly. It's just about the rest of the team coming together and stopping those big offensive breaks whenever the team is starting to get hot, and then also coming down the stretch, ending those games. I noticed in that San Jose State game, they had a little bit of tough time ending it and putting the final dagger in it. So just doing that as a team, I feel like we could possibly see a couple more wins coming out of that Cal Poly program in the future.
Yeah. You guys pretty much hit on everything, but one other thing I wanted to add was, I think you were talking about Kobe in the clutch moments, and it's very clear to me that he's someone that loves the big moment. I mean, the Fullerton game, it was the ball in his hands the last 2 chances they had at tying the game, and he missed both looks, but I mean, they're both tough shots. I mean, the first one was a step back in the corner, fully contested, and was just a little long, I think. The second one was at the buzzer, running full court, fading to the left, and
transition pull-up three. Yeah, such a hard shot to make.
Yeah.
Especially at that point in the game when you're tired and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And, he had played the last –
pretty
much the whole
the court.
Yeah. And I think that people can fault him for not making those last shots, but the only reason Cal Poly was in that game towards the end was because of him. I mean, I don't know exactly how many points he had in the second half of that game, but I know at some point in the second half he wasn't even in double figures yet. And I was kind of like, okay, when are we going to see Kobe kind of take this game into his hands? And he did exactly that. And I mean, they ultimately fell short that game, but it was good to see.
Yeah. I think we can pivot to our next story. Nick, what you got for us?
I got a little more track and field, because
let's go.
Our track program is legit, and dudes are out here making record-breaking performances every week. They're back up in Washington at the UW Invitational, and we had a bunch of record-breaking again. And this time was like real records, NCAA records, and Cal Poly records on top of it. So first off, junior Spencer Pickren became the 4th athlete in Cal Poly history to run a sub 4-minute mile. And anybody that knows anything about just running is sub 4-minute mile is crazy. He ran at 3 minutes 59 seconds, and it's the second fastest mile that he's ever ran but this is the first time he's ran it in competition. So it goes down. So sub 4-minute mile.
Can't even fathom that.
I'm trying to think of like, how did he lap it out? Because for me, I'm thinking like an 8-minute mile for me is good. 2 minutes on, you average, and this guy's averaging a minute per lap.
Dude, if I do a lap in like under 1:30, I'm like proud of myself.
He had a final lap of 1 minute and 6 seconds.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
Which is just insane.
So that means he was under a minute for
the other
for
ones.
the other ones.
Wonder what his first one was.
It doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't
but
say.
But it was
there.
probably crazy fast.
No, insane.
Wow.
Okay, and then we have the 4x4 men's relay team for the second straight year take the win there. This is a group of Chase Walter, Benkin Ho Sang, McGregor Tasella, and Joey Suoto. They ran it a 4x4 in 3 minutes and 13 seconds. Sudo anchored the last relay, made an incredible move with 50 meters left to pass Washington and Fresno Pacific. Kind of just ran right past them, leaned over the line, just got it over Washington. So it was crazy. And then Suoto also individually ran his PR men's 400 meters with a 48.61 seconds. So he had an amazing turnout this week. And then we talked about Corbin Payne, the shot putter, last week. He did it again. He beat his own record that he set last week. He beat it this week. This time he had 54 feet and 7.25 inches. And he's someone really that's coming onto the scene for Cal Poly and someone that is really looking to win a Big West title. Him and, his running mate, Roy Devaney, who's a weight thrower, not shot putter. Roy Devaney shattered his own record that he's had. For the last, he set it last year. He broke it again this year. So those two guys in the weight throwing capacity are really looking for Big West titles. And Roy Devaney especially is looking to go on to the NCAA title, indoor title, which will be held in 3 weeks. Roy kind of leads a lot of the Western Regional and all of his throws. And so he's someone to look out for to take home an individual national title, which would be really, really good.
Yeah, Roy's a stud. I think me and Matthew did a story on him last year, just kind of talking about his success. Fun fact, he can recite all the words to Thor Ragnarok. Yeah.
There's no way he can actually do that.
Dude,
he said like the first couple lines.
He said he's got it down. That was in his Go Poly profile.
I mean, you got to believe the Poly profiles, man. If they put it in the Poly profile, it's
fast.
basically
It's
fast.
fast.
He's also a weight thrower. Like, he is Thor. He throws out large, heavy object
human
really
life,
far.
But speaking about some other well-conditioned athletes, man, Cal Poly Wrestling just continuously killing it this year, rising up to the 23rd spot in the nation. My guy, Adam Kemp, he's been killing it this year. It's been harbored by a little bit of injuries, but his Flow Wrestling brought him up to the 7th spot. So I'm really happy about that because that means, hey, even more of a chance for him to get to go to that national championship circuit, something that his father got to see. I think his father's the 2nd winningest all-time wrestler in NCAA Division I history. He wrestled at University of Washington.
In history.
Yeah, so he had over 100 straight wins in his division. And Lee Kemp is an absolute legend, so shout out to Lee Kemp. He has done an amazing job at also helping to harness in those guys and be in the room also while Adam's gaining that work for his last year here at Poly. So it's really cool to kind of be on the mats with the team and see the development of these guys and see it from every angle, not just from Adams, but also from, you have Trevor Tinker, who's the heavyweight over there. He's ranked in the low 20s. You also have Zeth and Chance. They have obviously been having killer seasons, and it's really cool to see the whole entire team just prosper and kind of build off of each other. It's like they're building off of each other's success. One guy's doing really well, they'll have the rankings kind of shoot up, and they'll see, oh yeah, that guy's name is kind of shooting up a little bit more. For example, we seen Zet's name just kind of shoot up the rankings over this past winter break, and I think that was a big part and a big help because of the guys that he had around him. He had Adam going up, and he had Adam taking these high matchups. He had Chance taking these high matchups. Legend, obviously, who we're going to talk to a little bit later. So it's really exciting to see this Cal Poly wrestling team work.
The thing that fascinates me with this team is, I mean, we talked about it stay tuned for the interview with the Lamer brothers, but we talked to them about it, just kind of the mindset behind this team, I think, is really great. I mean, they're not an individual award based, like, that's not what their goals are for this program. Their goals are to, let me rephrase that. The coaches for this team, they don't put pressure on them to go out there and win every match and do things like that. They want them to improve both on the mats and off the mats, like who they are. And I think the coaches kind of allowing them to have that mindset and having that mindset themselves, like, has really allowed them to excel, because they don't have that weight on their shoulders of, I'm going to get cussed out if I don't, like, win this match. I think that kind of allows them to wrestle a little free and compete, like, with kind of like a, what do I have to lose mentality. And I think that's been really powerful for this team.
Yeah, they're focused more on the process than the outcome.
Yes.
I think that's the sentence summarization of it. And they brought in, an outside sports psychologist, I think, or like mental health coach, something like that.
Yeah.
That's been working with them. He's kind of instilled that mindset, and the coaches have completely bought in, because in sports, especially in, wrestling and these types of, very like heavy sports, that it's, 1v1, that's it, very like strength based, like, and even other sports like football, basketball, like, people are so focused. Oh, like, did you guys win? You guys win? You guys win? Like, they don't really look in between. Like, what steps did you take? Did you put forth your best effort? Sometimes in sports, it just doesn't go your way. You can't win every game. That's just kind of how it is. And I really appreciate that mindset. And you see that now at the college level, I feel like, a little more, and even at the professional level, even maybe just how athletes approach. And I hope that, hopefully, for me, like, we're talking about sports in general, like, that trickles down to the youth levels, because I think that'll be really beneficial for everyone involved. Because I think all of us here, we all played sports growing up, and I feel like everyone is just so focused. Like, oh, did you win? Did you win? Did you win? They like win at all costs, basically. When, especially even at the youth level, like that, you shouldn't even be the focus anyways.
At all. Most definitely, yeah.
So,
can you speak a little bit, because we do interview Chance and Legend, on how their seasons are going individually?
Yeah, I mean, he's stayed at that number 5 spot pretty consistently throughout this whole entire season. He's been dominating a lot of his competition. I believe probably the only time where he was even in any type of sort of trouble was earlier this year over at the Midland Championships, which is some of the top competition in the country, all get together over there in the Midwest, and they all go at it over there on those mats. But Chance Lamer's been having a really great season, as well as Legend, man. Legend's been having a great season as well. They've also been, I got to give this to Cal Poly, they've really been shooting up in terms of the competition that they're facing. They're bringing in some of the top teams that they have in that Pac-12. They're bringing in some of the top teams overall in the nation. So they're testing themselves against some of these top guys, and I feel like that's why we're also going to start to see a lot of these guys' names start to shoot up those rankings a little bit more. We'll start to see the Adam Kemps going from 10 to 7, the Trevor Tinkers going from the 30s to the 20s, and so on and so forth. Legend, too, I feel like he really is due for possibly another rankings rise. He's been doing a really, really good job this year at staying consistent, and kind of like his brother, at the same times where he has faced some of the top competition in the country, has been some of his only losses. So I believe those Lamer brothers, definitely a very special family to watch out for. And Dashiell Lamer, they still got one more in the bank, man. So it's crazy to think that we're not even Cal Poly has not seen the last of the Lamer family whatsoever.
Yeah. Is there anything you can provide? Because I know you do your own wrestling, like, on the side, you know the game well. Is there anything, like, technique wise, that you see that maybe like Chance does well, Legend, or even the team overall? Like, is there anything in particular that stands out to you about how they wrestle?
They don't force themselves to get into bad spots. They're really good at just sticking to the bread and butter. A lot of times, often in grappling, if you see something's not working your way, say for example you have a really good single, but that guy's single defense is top in the nation.
Like, single leg takedown.
Yeah, single leg takedown. They're not afraid to keep on shooting that single, and they're also not afraid to adapt when the time comes. And I feel like that's the biggest it sounds so like easy to say, but it's the biggest thing in wrestling, being able to make those tiny little key adjustments to where making that single leg, it may not be the most clean ever single leg, but guess what? You're going to get it. And I feel like that's what these guys have done consistently throughout the season, is even when it hasn't been the prettiest, they still have managed to pull out those wins. And that's the biggest thing in wrestling. It's a tough sport. I mean, you're going up against another man, like how you said, they're physically trying to dominate you and pin you down for 3 seconds. So I feel any sort of advantage that you could have in terms of mindset and just overall what you're trying to go in there and do game plan wise, it's going to elevate you. And it's shown in these guys' game plans and what they've been able to do out there on the mats.
Hey, clip that.
Yeah, that was we're getting into the nitty and gritty. I love it.
Clip that.
All right, well, let's get in. Let's listen to the Lamer Brother interview right after this.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Gallop. We got 2 special guests on the pod today. We got Legend and Chance Lamer here in the flesh. We also got Michael Hernandez co-hosting today. Should be a fun episode. How you doing today, Michael?
Hey, man, it's an absolute honor to get to sit across from a little bit of the Lamer family. You know, I know you guys got a couple of other brothers that have obviously had their success on the mats, so it's a pleasure to get to sit down with them, and also a pleasure to be here on the Gallop. Anthony, thank you for having me.
Yeah, how are you guys doing today?
Doing good. Happy to be here. Thankful for the opportunity to come talk to you guys.
Yeah,
It'll be fun.
This is awesome. I'm
Absolutely.
excited.
All right, so just get into it. First, either of you guys can take this one. So obviously, you guys growing up in super athletic family. I mean, your dad, big time wrestler in college. Your mom ran cross country, I think, and track. So can you kind of just talk me through like your family dynamic growing up, like what that was like, kind of growing up in a super athletic family?
Yeah, it was always hectic in our house. We actually always had a wrestling mat in our either living room or basement. So
okay.
It was nice. It was like very active. Like we were always like either outside, like jumping on trampoline or messing around on the wrestling mat. We were just kind of like grown up, like very active and like sports.
Sport oriented.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure. Was there like ever like sports outside of wrestling, or was it always kind of like very like wrestling centric?
Yeah, we had our phases. Like we used to really like tennis. Actually, we used to play
okay.
like
Big tennis guys.
Yeah. We had like different like sports where we get like super into it for a little bit. Like we were super into like football. Like we'd like get like football gloves, football like pads and stuff, and like just like throw each other like routes.
Yeah,
But,
I got you.
Yeah, like wrestling has always been like the sport above all.
Yeah, we've always like that's the only sport we've ever like seriously
Yeah.
trained. And,
Okay,
got
I
lessons.
got you.
We used to just like
Kinda
do
just
other
mess
sports,
around
like,
with
in our
other
free
ones.
time, like bike to the tennis courts every day and stuff like that. Yeah.
I got you.
And so, like, for you guys growing up, I know you said it was very competitive in your household. Was there ever any times where, like, I know you guys all went to the same high school as well, Crescent Valley. You guys are a couple years apart, but still where it was, like, competitive because you guys are on that same high school team. You know, obviously tempers are flaring and everything. Was there ever a time where it was, like, really competitive in the household and things
Oh,
are just going crazy?
Yeah.
Count way too many to even count. Like, even if it's just like board games some nights, like
Mm-hmm.
especially when we were younger. As we've gotten older, like
Yeah, we've learned to like chill out a little bit, but like literally like for anything that like involves competition, like we'd end in a fight.
Was there anyone
It's
in
like-
particular where it was just like you guys both, it's like an infamous moment to where it's funny to this day?
I have a history like for like when I was a kid, I would freak out
He was
in every
yeah.
board
Chance
game.
was by far
It
the
was
most.
You're
competitive.
the
Yeah.
biggest hothead in the
Yeah,
family.
I was so
Yeah.
competitive.
I'll
So
make
it's
sure
funny.
not to bring Scrabble or Jenga onto the wrestling mats around Chance.
Yeah, we had these family friends in town for the Oregon State duel, and like we were like laughing at a memory. Like when we used to like go on like family hikes, I would get so pissed if I wasn't in the front, and like their like son like would always like try to pass me just to like get my reaction, and like I would literally just freak out if I wasn't in the
And he was
front.
probably like 3 or 4 years old already.
I was,
That
like, super
competitive,
young.
like
It was funny.
crazy.
That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And I know you guys touched on that Oregon State meet, and that's actually something me and Anthony
Yeah,
wanted
it's perfect
to touch
segue
about.
right there.
Big homecoming for you
Yeah.
guys from Corvallis. I don't think that's an opportunity a lot of wrestlers get, is to get to go back to their actual hometown where they're born and bred. Was that pretty cool for all you guys as brothers to get to go back and get to go wrestle on those mats?
Yeah, that was such a cool opportunity. Like we had our own like fan section, like all our family and good friends sitting next to each other. So that was really cool, and just like being in like that arena that we grew up, like we like attended and watched so many wrestling duels there, and we've even like wrestled there ourselves, like in some like little tournaments and stuff. So it was cool, like going for full circle and like being able to like compete myself there and like have the opportunity to watch these guys compete and Brawley coach. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy just because like I've literally been watching those duels since 3rd grade, and like the fact that like I was like the guy wrestling this time was pretty cool.
Pretty surreal
awesome.
moment, huh?
Yeah, it was cool.
Absolutely. All right, so kind of moving backwards a little bit, kind of wanted to talk more about your guys' like high school career and stuff with that. Obviously, your guys' high school very highly decorated for wrestling. I mean, you guys were a big part of that. Do you have any like specific memories of like a certain match in high school or like some moment that kind of like epitomized that for you guys?
I think we both have the same most legendary
So,
moment. Oh my god.
So like when I first got there, we were actually terrible. Like
okay.
Brawley and I were the only people on our team that had wrestled for more than like a year, and we had like maybe like 11 total guys on our roster at the beginning of the season.
Oh, wow.
And so, that was my dad's 2nd year of coaching.
Okay.
And then, like, people started kind of transferring because my dad was taking us to good tournaments. And, like, other club kids that we grew up wrestling with came in as younger guys. And by my senior year, we were, like, huge underdogs at state. And we actually got 3rd as a team at our district tournament.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And we actually like we were having an insanely good tournament where almost all of our guys were like getting pins and winning their matches. And so it went into the last match because we had 4 state champs already, and our heavyweight made the state finals, and we were down by I think like
It was like 4 points.
4
he had to
points,
like get a major or
and
something.
so he had to get at least like major decision the guy, which is when you win by 8
And
points
he had
or
only
more.
won by decision
And
against that kid in the district
Yeah,
finals.
he wrestled that guy in the district
okay.
finals.
So there's a little heat.
Yeah.
It came down
Okay.
heavyweight, so it's the last match of
intense.
the tournament. And our guy just goes over under body lock and chucks him to his back right away and pins him for us to win the state tournament by like 1 point. It was so
that's
cool.
so
It was
hype.
honestly like
Just
one of
like-
the most hype moments I've had.
It was
in my life.
insane.
It was
Yeah.
insane.
Like,
What was that moment like when you went home after with the family? What'd you
Yeah.
guys
Oh
go
my
out to eat
gosh.
after?
the bus
Yeah.
ride home, like with all our teammates
Yeah,
and stuff.
well,
I think we went out to Sherry's. or
Yeah, it was
something.
like Sherry's.
This
'cause, like,
breakfast diner because every place was closed.
yeah, that state tournament, like, it goes really late. Like, we probably didn't
okay.
get out of there until, like, 11, maybe, 10 or 11.
something like that.
So, yeah, but, that feeling, like, when, like, he locked it up and threw him on his back, he had to, like, hold him on his back for, like, 20 seconds.
Yeah,
And we were just, like,
Every
oh my
second
I don't think
just-
my heart beat
Yeah.
the whole time. It was just
like,
stopped.
It's crazy. There's, like, a video of us all, like, standing behind the fence, and then they call the pin, and we all just start jumping.
Let's
It
go.
was so cool.
Yeah, it was just cool because like we like could not even win a single duel my first year.
Yeah.
So like being able to see the team like go from that to like winning a state title, like
Yeah,
I would have
Pretty
never
surreal.
even imagined that happening.
Mhm.
And what year was that in? Was that in
That was 2019.
That was
2019?
senior
year.
Oh, okay. So your senior year.
Yeah, and I remember talking to my dad before like the state tournament. He was like, "Yeah, like doing the calculations." He's like, "Yeah, like we have to have a really good tournament to get 3rd." And I
Damn.
just like remember like him saying that, and then we just like won it. It was so.
You guys
crazy.
took that personally.
Yeah, I know.
That was absolutely an insane story. Like, that's Cinderella-esque, I
Yeah,
feel,
it was,
too.
It was
It's-
actually.
And it's cool because I've kind of felt that same thing here at Cal Poly. Like my first year
Yeah.
here, they were coming off like 2 straight years of not winning a single duel, and that like I redshirted that year, but like they only won a few duels all year. It's like to see like that growth here. It's like reminded me a lot of high school.
Yeah, and can you go into this? This is actually kind of a question for both of you guys. I know that you obviously decided to come over here to Cal Poly. You decided to go to Michigan over there, and you were obviously a very highly ranked wrestler over there. Can you go a little bit into that decision to originally go to Michigan compared to your brothers obviously heading down south to head over here to Cal Poly?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, it was a lot different. Like getting recruited by Cal Poly compared to like 2 years later when Dash was in high school. Like Cal Poly was like they've leveled up so much even like since then, and like just like knowing like if I went to Michigan, like there was guys that like could like all American or like become national champions. It was just like kind of more like reassuring for me, and like at the time like there really hadn't been like an all American or like a super like well like well accomplished wrestler at Cal Poly. So but like after Bernie, like seeing what Bernie could do and like what the rest of the team could do, like it was a lot easier for me to like be like confident going into Cal Poly.
And to make that
Yeah,
decision
like,
and make the
yeah.
switch.
Mhm.
100%.
And you already had your brothers here, so I mean,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, it was a really easy decision to make.
How was that though when you guys finally you the transfer portal, everything was all corrected? Like, can you give us a little bit and the insight, and you as well, to finally get your brother here? And that was something that you probably were wanting to say, wanting to let people know it's done, but you had to keep quiet because the transfer portal stuff and how that all goes. Can you go into it a little bit?
Yeah. Once we got Dashel, I knew there was a good chance that we could maybe get Chance within another year or so, and I just knew he wasn't totally happy over at Michigan, and there were some things the way the coaches handled some things last year I know weren't ideal at all, and I just knew that our coaches would never do things like that, and I just knew he'd be happier here being with us all together, and I think he knew at that point that we could actually you can come to Cal Poly and win a national title and compete at a really high level, which I think was the question before. So I think it was pretty easy, natural decision for him to make. But
yeah, once they answered that question, it was pretty easy to just go from there.
Yeah.
So now that you guys are all here, I mean, you two are here. Dashel's on the team. Brawley's on the coaching staff. What's that been like? You four kind of being in a home away from home here in SLO. How's that moment been all coming back together? I mean, I don't even know. Were you guys ever all on the same team in high school at the same time? Yeah.
No more than 2 of us were on the same team at the same time.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah,
okay.
In high school. But yeah, it's awesome. It just feels really natural. I don't even think about how crazy it is most of the time. Just because just hanging out with my brothers, it's just it just feels so natural, and it's just so chill.
So do you guys all live together now, or are you guys kind of
Chance and I live together. Brawley, since he's on the coaching staff, isn't allowed to live with the athletes.
Okay.
So he lives he lives with 2 other coaches.
Okay.
And then Dashel's in the dorms right now.
That's probably for the best, though. 4 lamers in one house.
Yeah.
I know a lot of holes in the walls. It would be absolutely
have
crazy.
to find a wrestling mat somewhere.
For sure. You have
down in the living room.
Ask SLO High School or a couple of the coaches here.
Yeah.
But just to go into a little bit, I know you were saying that after that decision from Bernie Trout to go transfer to Penn State after his success here, that was a big factor. Can you go into the state of the team, getting Chance, just the whole kind of trial? Because I feel like that was a tumultuous kind of couple of months for the Cal Poly wrestling team. You had Dom Demas, and then you also had Bernie Trout, obviously, when transferred. So could you go into that a little?
Yeah, it was definitely huge for the team. Just having him elevating the level in the room, showing guys that I think it's big for future recruits even, because knowing a number a top 5 guy in the country can come here and continue to improve. I think that'll send out a good message to a lot of guys, and it was cool. It seems like we've gotten someone big to come in and transfer here every year, because we had Evan Wick and then Dom Demas and now Chance. So I think it's cool showing other people in the country there's a reason these top guys are transferring here after a few years of college, and I think that's just they know in high school, coming out of high school, I think it's important to really know what to look for in a college program. You have to look past some of the nicer facilities that we don't have. We just don't have as much money as those big programs, but we make up for it team atmosphere, having the coaches care about you more than just an athlete. I know any of our coaches would do anything for us in a heartbeat if we ever needed it, even if you're not the guy out there winning every single wrestling match. So that's really important and cool to have over here.
Yeah, and my values on what I want in a college team has changed so much since high school. It used to just be oh, which team is winning, where can I become the best wrestler? But now it's just what team culture do I fit in with the most? What team has my back all the time? What team will make me want to become a better person every day? And that's Cal Poly all day. So
hell yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys are kind of talking about the culture that has been building here. I mean, obviously you've kind of seen it firsthand grow before your face, kind of how you mentioned in high school. Can you kind of just talk about what specific things you think about this team and coaching staff has kind of allowed for that culture to build and continue to grow?
Yeah, I think first of all, they do a really good job with recruiting. They have us hang out with the guys a lot on their recruiting trips, and even if it's a great wrestler but their personality doesn't fit, they'll tell the coaches we don't need this guy, and the coaches will stop talking to him right away.
The coaches really trust in our opinions on the guys, and if even if they like them, and then we're no, this person's he would not be good for the team, they'll take our word and know we're being honest about it.
I'm sure that's nice to kind of know. It feels like your coaching staff has your back, and they're not going to go and do
100%.
something that you guys don't approve of.
Yeah, they're not going to take a risk on a good wrestler if they know that he'll screw up like the environment that they've built around here.
Absolutely.
So that's cool. And
They care way more about the team culture than like any like top star recruit. So
That's super important.
I think something that you touched on that like your coaching staff has brought on. You guys also have a kind of mental health coach, somebody that's seen you guys before practices. Can you go into having that on your team? And I feel like that's a big benefactor, especially in wrestling where you're alone on the mat. As much as you have your coaching staff, as much as you have your teammates, it's ultimately on you, your end result.
Yeah, we have a mental health like performance coach. His name's Coit Cooper. Really good guy. Like this dude has the coolest life.
he's the
like
best.
he was actually a Division I All-American in wrestling at Indiana.
Okay.
So it's cool that he's like kind of been through like the grind of college wrestling, and he knows how like hard this sport is. So it's like it makes it a lot easier to talk with him and relate with him. And he's just he helps us level up so much. Like he's like changed the complete metric between like our team atmosphere and like with our coaches. Like we don't focus at all anymore on outcome and like winning or losing matches. We just like our whole team focuses on growing as a person and growing as a wrestler, and like just putting in effort. And as long as like we like put in effort and like focus on growth during a wrestling match, like our coaches never get mad at us for losing a match, even if it's like someone you don't wrestle your best, like someone you should have beat. Like they're not out after us about winning or losing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Like our coaches before the duels, like Cerritos especially, he's like, the only way we'll get mad at you is if you're mad at yourself, like for like wrestling your hardest. So it's like really just like reassuring that you can just like go out there and let it fly. Like as long as you put forth your full effort, like no one's gonna get mad at you, and like you're still like he's still got your back all the time.
I'm sure that probably helps performance too, not really having the stress on my back, like, if I lose this match, like I'm going to get cussed out in the locker room after. Like just kind of knowing that your coaching staff and the rest of your team has your back, like no matter what, that's got to be great.
Yeah.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, it really allows you to just like let it fly, like just have fun and like go out there and like wrestle loose and like not tense,
I think that's like that makes a huge difference on like why our team is so like close with each other and like tight, just because like we all like have each other's backs all the time. We're never like, dude, like that's like you wrestled like so bad or something. Like we're just always like supporting each other and like trying to teach each other like what they can do to grow. So.
Yeah, just growth. The main focus at our programs is like growth.
For sure. I had kind of a question for you, Chance. So I was just kind of looking through your poly profile, and I saw in 2018 you actually competed in the World Championship in Croatia.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk me through that experience and what that was like for you wrestling overseas?
It was really cool. It's definitely like it feels a lot different than just like wrestling in America. Like the mats are just like a piece of foam with like a tarp over it. Which like in America, like the mats, like they're like the tarp is kind of like glued down to like the foam, but it's just like like in like overseas it's literally just like a loose like tarp over the mats. So that
slipping while you're wrestling.
Yeah, it just feels like quite a bit different. But yeah, it was really like it was a really cool experience, like getting to like go and like compete like against guys like across the world and stuff.
You were also a very highly recruited wrestler out of high school. How was that for not only you to be very highly recruited, all your brothers very highly recruited, but you as well? You were a top 100 wrestler according to Flow Wrestling, and that must have been a pretty big accomplishment, especially from your high school days, right?
Yeah, it was cool. The recruiting process is it's definitely like very unique. You have coaches from all over calling you. Every time you're on a visit somewhere, like kind of seems like you're like, oh, like I could really see myself going here. And like, so it's like, it's important not to use like the recency bias, like every time you're at a place, you're like, oh, I kind of want to go here, 100%. But like making sure to not make any like sudden rash decisions. It's always important.
Like my first ever college visit was to South Dakota State. And like by the time I was done with that, I was like, dang, like I really might like go to South Dakota State. But it was, I actually did really enjoy my time at South Dakota State, but I just felt like I had to go to like either Michigan or Cal Poly.
A far cry from the beaches over here in San Luis Obispo.
I don't know if I could go back to those South Dakota winters.
Yeah, we grew up in South Dakota, and then like after
because that's where both your parents went there, right?
Both my parents went to South Dakota State. So we actually used to live in Brookings, South Dakota, where South Dakota State is. And
how old were you guys when you moved to Oregon?
I was in 8th grade when we moved.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
What would you
Chance
say
of
was the
6.
biggest transition from, you guys have kind of moved around South Dakota, Oregon, you have gone to Michigan. What would you say is like the biggest adjustment to coming over here to California and to gain acclimated to everything over here?
Easy winners. The winters are so
That's-
mild.
That's the biggest difference.
It's nice. Like I go back to Oregon even. Like last week when we were there, I was like, oh my gosh, it's freezing here. Like
Yeah.
there's so much rain.
A lot of
Like,
rain. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been nice.
I seen you. You guys also. My apologies.
No, you're
you
good,
had
you're
also picked up going to the beach and surfing and doing a lot of those things. Have that kind of carried on? Possibly. I don't know if there's any beaches or anything like that in Oregon, but have you guys tried surfing out there? Have you guys tried carrying on those traditions over to back home?
Yeah, well, we actually kind of like the first time we like got into surfing, it was at Oregon.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Brawley, he's like the main surfer in our family. He loves going. But yeah, surfing in Oregon, it's not nearly as fun as surfing here. It's so cold. The water, like your hands will literally like get numb in like a couple minutes.
And just be shaking
Yeah,
like an
out
ice.
there you
ball.
gotta wear like
Hands.
gloves, boots, a hood.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's hard
yeah.
to stay out if you don't have all that stuff.
Yeah, you can't just wear like the casual wetsuits you can get
No.
away with down
No,
here.
definitely not.
So I had another question for you, Legend. Talking about like your decision to come here. What ultimately, because when you committed here, only Brawley was here, and there wasn't kind of that like you guys hadn't built that kind of foundation you have now with all your brothers kind of being here, which I'm sure kind of made your decision to come here easier. What kind of went behind your decision to end up coming here to Cal Poly?
Yeah, I honestly like I wasn't really expecting to come here too hard. I was getting recruited by like Stanford and like Nebraska, and like some bigger schools like that I really was like enjoying and like definitely leaning more towards. But I came down here and stayed for like a week in like summer of 2018. So it was like summer before I graduated, and just spending like time with like Brawley and the other guys on the team here, and like the coaches. Like I just like fell in love with it and like really felt like I felt that family connection right away that I didn't feel like visiting any other places, and so that like really was important to me. And Coach Cerritos like sold me on like his future vision of this program. And at that time, he could have been completely lying to my face. Like I wouldn't have known any better, but he backed it up. We're like further ahead than he ever talked about being there, like as a team. So that's really cool.
So he actually thought you guys weren't gonna even be where you guys are at now. That's actually kind of wild. Can you go into that? Like, what was?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what his vision, but he was like telling me like by year 5, like top whatever like ranked team, and we've like surpassed that in like the time frame that he's said. And he like told us, yeah, like you can win national titles, you can be all Americans here. Like we might not have the money to like win a national team title, but like you can win individually here for sure. And he's backed it up, and we've like even like done way better like in team things too than he was expecting, I think, back then.
Yeah, I think like this year specifically too, like our mindset and like our like goals, like they've really just like pushed us like to become like so much better than like even we like should be this year. Like he was saying like this year is like a rebuilding like year, because like what, like 5 of the starters last year.
I think like 6 starters last
Yeah,
year.
6 starter
from our
like
starting lineup
yeah.
are gone.
And so like
Well, you guys are doing pretty good for a rebuild year this
yeah,
year.
it's a rebuilding
Yeah,
year.
a lot of people thought this would be a rebuild year, but we've definitely like been wrestling at a higher level than even I think our own coaches thought we were gonna hit this year. So it's been really cool.
Yeah, that must be quite the feeling to kind of know that you've surpassed even some of your own expectations, and as well as you were stating some of your coaches. But I kind of wanted maybe to switch over to some of the fun questions, some of the things that
I had one more
let's do
before
one
we
more.
get into
No, of
fun
course, of course.
question. I guess this is kind of fun too, but do you guys have any like individual goals for the rest of your season? And then if you have a team goal too, feel free to share that.
I've kind of like changed like my like outlook on like goals. Like my goals are there's no like results like involved in my goals anymore. It's just like becoming like a better person every day and like doing like all the right things I can to like become the best wrestler I can. So
Awesome, man.
Yeah, same here. Like a year ago, I would have told you like being an All-American or something like that. But now like I just focus on like being the best version of myself that I can possibly be, and that like includes wrestling and just like a student as a person. And I think just focusing on that and like growing as a person, it like helps me reach like way higher potential.
Yeah, that like takes care of the goals or the results itself.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate those answers just because, I mean, a lot of people will sit here and give you like the cliche, oh, I want to finish like top of my division, top of that. I think it's really important to kind of stand true to yourself and like be honest and have that like.
And that's like, our sports psychologist, he's really like helped us like realize that like there's like more important things in life than like being an All-American or like just like being like happy and like enjoying what you do like in the moment is like so much more important and will like make you so much better than like ever caring about like, oh, I need to win this national title or I need to be like a multiple time All-American, like just that kind of like outlook on life.
Yeah, he's really gotten like our whole team to like buy into that mindset, which is really cool. Cause like when I'm done, I'm not gonna like, I don't want to look back on my college career and be like, oh, like I stressed about like results the whole time I was here. Like I just want to like enjoy this cool opportunity of being like a Division I athlete and like getting to wrestle all over the country and like look back and like think about like how awesome it was and how like thankful and present I was during the process.
Yeah, and like just thinking or like making us think about how like grateful like we can be like in the moment. Like looking back, like my like previous years of wrestling, like like I'd always be like really nervous like before the match, like I'm like not actually enjoying myself. But like he's like really taught us to like enjoy yourself like in the moment, like this is like your like only life, like your wrestling career is gonna be done in a couple of years. Like you have to like enjoy these like moments. So live
life a little bit outside of just wrestling too.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
For sure. So just a little bit of the fun question. Sorry to cut you off there earlier,
my man. You're all good.
Just, coming over to the San Luis Obispo area, obviously you guys have had to get acclimated to a couple of things here. What would you guys say has been your favorite thing that you guys like in San Luis Obispo, strictly unique to it? It's something that was a little bit getting used to coming over there from the Oregon area.
I would say things we like are we love the dunes. The sand dunes around here are awesome.
Yeah.
We'll go there and just like we'll just go there all day with like a frisbee or like we'll like find things to like sled down on and just like jumping off them. It's like that place is so unique, like over in the Oceana dunes. One thing I can't stand about the area is how like expensive it is to park everywhere.
That's a great point.
No, it is definitely pretty pricey, especially downtown some days, man.
It's brutal.
On
campus
tickets.
too, you got to pay everywhere. Man.
Parking in the 2-hour parking if you're like 30 minutes late.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of those tickets too.
Practice
runs too.
Yeah, practice runs a little
so
long.
Annoying.
You gotta
that's
tell
the
Coach
worst.
Doritis to let you get a little break in between.
The car.
Change it.
All right, let's hit some rapid fire questions. So we'll kind of give you guys a little category and just first answer that comes to mind. Let's do it. All right.
Sounds good.
Favorite place to eat in SLO?
Fitties.
Finney's. That's a great answer.
I'm just gonna go California Fresh, the
Okay.
grocery store. We get
let's
a lot
go.
of like food there, so
Yeah, good selection over there for
they've
sure.
got good hot food and like we just grocery shop there a ton.
For sure.
Alrighty. How about your guys' favorite hike? I know you guys gone on a lot of hikes here.
I'll go Bishop. I like hiking up Bishop.
I gotta go with Madonna, just cause we live really close to Madonna, so like I can like always run Legends Dog like up the trails and stuff, and I really enjoy that mountain. It's cool.
All right. Favorite animated movie? That's a tough one.
We watch The Incredibles a lot.
Gotta go with
Let's
The
go.
Incredibles.
That's valid.
Yeah. The Incredibles.
I mean, with your brother being named Dash,
Dash.
I feel like that's kind of a given, right?
We
like,
my mom told us like when we were little kids like that's like it wasn't actually like she wanted to name him Dashel and we're like you can call him Dash like for short because that was right when The Incredibles came out and so we were like so
That's
stoked
sick.
about that when he was born.
all right, how about this one? Your guys' favorite place at Cal Poly to go ahead and study now that the library has been shut down. So where's your guys' favorite area to go ahead and just...
I know this probably, like, I probably shouldn't say this, but my bed. Yeah, I just study in my room a lot.
I'll do some studying in the dungeon. It's we have this little underground wrestling room in Mott Gym, and we have a little couch there and like wrestling mats and some like workout equipment. And usually I'll just go to the couches down there.
Yeah, I've been hearing some crazy spots as of late. Like people go to donut shops, people going everywhere, you know. So it's always interesting to hear where guys are going to get that time to study because you guys are student athletes at the end of the day, having to do both, you know.
Yeah.
I'm with Chance on that answer. I'm kind of like a big study at home type of guy. I don't like the distractions of being out
like
and
being
like
in like social environments. I feel like you just get like distracted easily.
Exactly. Like I can never be the guy who goes to like Scout Coffee and like opens up my laptop in there.
Like go plugs in your laptop in a corner like at a Starbucks.
Yeah, I would be like
just
all the
all the
sounds.
sounds.
Yeah, too much. All right, I don't know if I have any more fun ones. You got
Hey
any
man,
more,
no,
Michael?
I think I'm all cut.
You got a good one, Matt?
Ooh, put me on the spot. Damn.
Yeah, Nick, you got a good one?
Oh, pregame routine.
Oh yeah, pregame routine.
There you go.
Walk me through that.
Like before a duel or something?
Yeah,
before
sure.
duel, before tournament.
Yeah, so we usually like to come into our weight cut workout like a pound over or something, like eating a meal before that. So like we usually like wake up on weight, eat like a pound, like, and at this time like you'd rather like drink than eat because you're already kind of thirsty. But yeah, we eat up to a pound over, we work it off, we get underweight. Once we weigh in, like what I like to do is just drink a lot of liquids and not very much food, just because you only have 2 hours. Like the food like that you eat, it's not gonna turn into energy. Like it just like sits in your stomach. So I try to get the food in like before the weight cut workout, and then so yeah, I weigh in, drink a lot of water, drink a little bit of coffee, get some caffeine.
We actually recently we've been taking soy sauce shots.
Oh,
yeah.
Soy
Yeah.
sauce sodium into our system.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Yeah, that's been working
Yeah.
good for me. Just taking a couple soy sauce shots, getting some sodium.
Damn.
I also I'll like take honey and just like
Oh,
yeah.
I
take
know.
some
what
shots
you,
of honey, too.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
That's our NATO 5. Nate Mills does that before every single.
Really?
Yeah, he
open
also
up
is a
the
big
through
honey
the
guy.
throat, you know,
Yeah,
before you
clear
get on the
throat.
mic.
it's
Yeah, maybe we should have done that.
Yeah.
We should have brought one with us.
No, we should have brought. We got to get you guys any honey sellers in the San Luis Obispo area. Got to get the lamers
Yeah.
over here.
Yeah, come
Look
on.
at that NIL deal.
There you go.
Yeah, and then after we fuel up, we like have a little bit of time to chill. Like we'll like play some music, just kind of like get in the vibe with
We
our
kind of
team.
vibe together, you know,
Yeah.
just like high
Yeah.
spirits, high
It's
energy, like
chill.
messing around, just getting our minds right.
For our warm up, we just kind of stay really crisp, stay like fast. We'll get like a lung blowout in. We'll get like some sprints in. Just like you don't want to get too tired, but like you definitely want to get like a good like push to like wake yourself up. And then then we just kind of
Listen to a lot of music.
yeah.
What's the
What's the-
genre? Yeah.
Or go-to song.
We kind of listen to a lot of Kid Cudi.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go.
I always listen to a lot by 21 Savage too before every match.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Last year and like the years before that, I'd usually listen to like hype up, like rap, like music before my matches. But now it's like more like chill music. It's just kind of like the vibe
Get your
I like
mind
when
right.
I'm like wrestling more now. Instead of like being like spazzy, I like feeling more like chill.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's gonna about wrap it up for us.
Sweet.
You guys want to give yourself a shout out to any socials, like where they can find you guys after?
My social media, my Instagram is just legend.lamer. Anyone wants to follow me there?
Yeah, mine's just Chance Lamer, so
Cool.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming on the pod. That was a lot of fun. Thank you, Michael,
Yeah, that was
for
fun.
stepping
I
in
appreciate your
on the
time.
show. That's gonna wrap it up for us here at the Gallop. Thanks again, Chance and Legend.
Sweet.
Yep,
Thank
thanks
you
for
guys.
Thank you guys for your time.
Appreciate it.
Well, that's going to wrap up our interview with both Chance and Legend Lamer. That was really great stuff. It was really good to get their insight on their season, kind of their family dynamic, how they grew up. Yeah, what are your kind of thoughts on it, Michael?
I thought it was pretty cool. I've heard, obviously, heard them in the wrestling room and just getting to talk to them as the season has progressed, but getting a little bit more of a personal deep dive into them was really cool. It just felt really natural, especially, too, because I've talked to them the whole entire season, so I didn't really feel like I was like, oh, wow, like we're trying to force this. It just felt like I was talking with somebody I've known for a while. So that felt really cool to be able to get a little bit more of a deep dive into them as people and also into their mindsets as wrestlers. That was really awesome.
Yeah, I'm jealous of their family. Having
I
four
know,
brothers,
right?
like that just must have been fun. You always had to play pickup game with you. Just always had competition in the house. Must have been just such a fun way to grow up.
It was funny to hear that Chance said he was kind of the hothead out of them growing up.
Can't
Yeah,
really
like
Scrabble
the
or
hiking
Jenga.
one where he's not first when he's hiking. It's the yeah, that one was pretty good.
I'm going to have to bring Jenga to the next wrestling room meet that I have to go to.
They might split the team apart.
No, for real.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can wrap it up here. Thank you to Chance and Legend Lamer for riding along on the Gallop. That's all we have time for today. If you like what you hear, check us out on any preferred streaming platform, kcpr.org/podcast, and the sports section on mustangnews.net/sports.
Or on YouTube with this one.
Or sure, YouTube, yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
right now. You can follow KCPR on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or YouTube at KCPR 91.3 and Mustang News Sports at CP Mustang News Sports on Instagram and at Cal Poly MN Sports on Twitter and TikTok.
For more information about Cal Poly Wrestling, check the official Cal Poly Athletic website at gopoly.com.
Ride high.
And go Mustangs.
Woo!